Hi, I'm Edward Jarvis, and today I'm going to guide you through an experiment to explore whether fluids are soft or hard. First, I want to lay some groundwork with a question. What are solids and liquids? Solids and liquids are two different forms of matter. Solids are objects that retain their shape, like a tennis ball or a strawberry. Solids will try to keep their shape even if you try to bend them or drop them. Liquids are objects that change their shape to fit in their container. Some examples of liquids are water, coffee, and juice. Liquids will take up a fixed amount of space, or volume, even if they change shape. What do you predict would happen if you mixed water with a particular powdered solid, cornstarch? Do you think it would still behave like a liquid, or would it start to behave like a solid? One important thing scientists do is make predictions before they do their experiments. Pause here if you want to make your predictions before moving on to the experiment. Now, this mixture of cornstarch and water is called Oobleck, and I want to show you how to make Oobleck so you can test your predictions. You will need a mixing bowl with tall sides to prevent spills, a cup of cool water, 1.5 to 2 cups of cornstarch, and you might also want to add a few drops of food coloring and to use a small plastic bag for experimenting. First, you should add the water to the mixing bowl. Then, add the cornstarch slowly while mixing. You may find it easier to mix with your hands than with a spoon or a spatula. Once you've added around 1.5 cups of cornstarch, check the consistency of your mixture before adding more. You want the mixture to have the consistency of a very thick liquid when you tilt the bowl. Then you can add the food coloring to the mixture and combine using your hands. How would you test if Oobleck is a solid or a liquid? Well, a liquid should be pourable. Try to pick some up with your hands and let it drip back into the container. Does it behave like a liquid here? A solid would resist changes in shape. Try to roll some Oobleck between your hands into a ball. Can you make it take on a solid shape? What happens if you stop rolling? If you make a small pool of Oobleck in a shallow container and you move your fingers slowly through it, what happens? What happens if you move your hand more quickly through the Oobleck instead? If you transfer some of the Oobleck into a small plastic bag and seal the bag tightly and then drop it onto the table, what happens to the shape of the Oobleck when it hits the table? Does the shape change a few seconds after it hits the table? Try to come up with your own experiments too. Pause here so you can experiment and play with the Oobleck to test your predictions. Were you able to test your predictions? Oobleck has some interesting properties that you were able to see in your experiment. Sometimes it behaves like a solid, and other times like a liquid. When you pour Oobleck from a container, it looks just like any thick liquid, like honey. However, when you apply pressure, the Oobleck becomes hard like a solid. Oobleck is called a non-Newtonian fluid because of these properties. It does not behave like other fluids described by Isaac Newton's viscoelastic model. Can you think of anything else that behaves sometimes like a liquid and sometimes like a solid? Well, I hope you enjoyed the experiment, and next time someone asks you if fluids are soft or hard, you could tell them that it's not as obvious as you might think. If you'd like to see more of the science that we in the Woo Lab do, visit our website. Thanks for your time.